Welcome everyone to otakusandgeeks.com. Justin here, back with more video game reviews. And today, my friends, we are going to be talking about Rendering Ranger R2 Rewind. This game is now out, so you can get it on your consoles or PC devices. Here is a brief synopsis of the game. You are the Rendering Ranger, a special force soldier defending Earth from a devastating alien invasion through 9 levels of action platforming as well as blistering fast horizontal shooting stages. Now, since that is kind of just the whole gist of the actual story, we're going to skip story because keep in mind this is a 16-bit game from the Super Nintendo era, and games of this genre really, stories, to be honest with you, took a backdrop and gameplay was the central focus. But pretty much the story is Earth is being invaded. You have to stop the invasion, pretty much. So let's talk about the gameplay. At its core, Rendering Ranger R2 is a hybrid part of Contra style run and gun, part R type inspired shooter. The game begins with a fast paced side scrolling platformer levels where players control a heavily armed soldier navigating through enemy infested cityscapes, mechanical hellscapes, and alien strongholds. The character movement is tight, the weapons feel punchy, and the difficulty, oh lord, the difficulty is unforgiving, but I will say it is fair. But what sets this apart is its seamless transition into those space shooter levels. At certain points in the game's just entirely changing its gears, placing the player in the ship for a classic horizontal, epic space shooting sequences. These sections bring intense bullet dodging, enemy waves, and massive bosses, maintaining that adrenaline without missing a beat. The shift never feels jarring. Instead, it adds variety and keeps the gameplay fresh from start to finish. It's these blends of styles that really make it ahead of its time. And now, while it's so praised over there in Japan, and just to have people now being able to experience this is really good. Now, you're probably wondering why is it called Rewind? And be honest with you, it's just that you're able to rewind, like you see with a lot of these retro game releases now. You have the ability to rewind if you mess up and do it over. You also have save features now as well, so you can continue where you left off. And that, for games that are just as punishing as this, it gives a little bit more of a relief for those who really want to just play the game and have a little bit more fun. But for those who are still looking for that challenge, it does deliver that. Now let's talk a little bit about the graphics here. If there's one thing Rendering Ranger R does good is just its graphics. The game features pre-rendered CGI art style similar to Donkey Kong Country, which was impressive technical feats on the Super Nintendo. Sprites are detailed, it's fully animated, backgrounds are multi-layered and atmospheric, and enemy designs are both menacing and imaginative. The bosses are where this game truly shines in particular. They are a visual treat. Massive screen filling monstrosities that show off the game's visual flair. Some even feature scaling, rotation effects that mimic the Super FX chip, despite the game running entirely on that standard hardware at the time. And you get a little bit of time here, especially with graphics. You can play around with it. You can put the borders on. You can do the filters of how you want it to look. And the game is a little bit upscale. Looks very clean for this re-release. Now let's talk a little bit, of course, about the music here because the soundtrack is also great. It's composed by Jesper Olsen. The music is moody blend of that industrial electronic hard-hitting action themes that we're used to back in the days. While it might not be as I would say melancholy, as some people will like to say. The soundtrack and the effects are crisp, explosive, and very, very satisfying. So, to give the final grade here, folks, I'm going to give this a buy it. If you're into the whole retro game and games of this type of style, if you are a fan of the old school, this is a really good, brutal, but fun game to play. This is Justin from otakusandgeeks.com. If you like what we do here, hopefully we earn your subscription. Please hit the like button, subscribe button, and of course the notification bell. And I'll catch you on the next review later days.